I think most of us would agree that love plays a massively huge role in our lives when it comes to happiness. Whether we are yearning for the love that never came, we are ending a relationship, we are heartbroken, we are living the best life in a current relationship, we are learning about self-love or other forms of love. This is, for most of us, a very, very important part of our lives. So what does love look like in your life? And are you happy with how love is unfolding in your life? Welcome, my name is Charlotte Westerheim and this is Dancing Astrologer. Thank you for joining. If you have been here before, welcome back. And if you're here for the first time, nice to meet you, and I hope you all will get something out of this video. I'm kind of following up a little bit from the video I did, the previous one, where I talked about Venus entering Scorpio, which it did the 7th of November 2025, and it would stay in Scorpio throughout November. I mentioned as well in my previous video that it's going to meet a few other planets along the way. And I am going to talk about the meeting with Saturn, which is a bit about reality, getting grounded. And when Venus is meeting Neptune, which is about maybe illusion and fantasy and magic. The two planets are at the moment in the late degree of Pisces. They're just going, to finish whatever job, whatever purpose they've had, we will come into that later, in one of the latest degrees. So Saturn is around 25 degrees and Neptune is 29. So when Venus are meeting those two planets, it will be in a trine, and the 26th of November will be when Venus will meet Saturn. And on the 29th, Venus will meet Neptune in a trine. So here we could talk a little bit about love, real love, or love illusion, or a dreamlike love. And it's a little bit when we fall in love. And in the beginning, it is almost like the perfect love, because we don't yet know each other. We don't know the person fully, and they don't know us. And we are at our best behavior. We are giving all the best that we have. So sometimes that beginning of a love relationship, it can feel like the other person is perfect and everything is perfect. It's the perfect love, and it's almost like a dream come true, and we see everything with rose tinted glasses. That is kind of the essence of Venus and Neptune together, because it brings the best out in both of us. And I wish we could be like that always, but reality will hit in at some point. And the projections we have on both sides, so we have, what we projected to the other person, what we would like them to be, is maybe not how they are at all. And the projection they put on us is also maybe far away from the reality. So I do want to talk a little bit about real love and the love that is divine, or that feels divine. And there's a difference here as well, because in most long-term relationship, there needs to be some sort of Saturn in there to keep the glue together. And we look at charts of married people or people who've been in long-term relationship. There is some sort of aspect with Saturn when they entered into relationship, because if there wasn't, it wouldn't have lasted, because people will throw in the towel straight away at the first hurdle, at the first discussion or argument or disappointment. So Saturn is usually in for the long haul, and it knows it needs to work for things. So when Venus meets Saturn, this is our chance to take a good look at realistic love. Like, we all have a blueprint of love in our chart, and we can think about first perhaps the two signs where Venus normally rules, and that is of course Taurus and is Libra. So look in your chart and see what's going on around those houses, and where of course is Venus placed in your birth chart. That will say something about the kind of love that you are searching for, the kind of love that you have an easy time of expressing. And very often what we look for in others is something that feels familiar to ourselves, whether it's good or bad. So the more grounded love that Venus rules in Taurus is more physical love, is more the senses, the sensations, good food, like physical sensations. It's, surrounding oneself with beauty in the home, with the fashion, making ourselves as beautiful as possible to attract love in our lives. And the Libra Venus type of love is more where you focus on the partnership of giving or creating that togetherness, that harmony with another person, where things are flowing in communication and connection and all those beautiful things. So, but at the moment, Venus is in Scorpio. And Scorpio is kind of in fall, as I mentioned in my last video, because it's not so easy for Venus to express that love and harmony and that pleasing kind of quality, because here is meeting the lords of Scorpio, which are Mars and Pluto. And they like to dig deep. They like to, evoke passion and firework and, maybe some jealousy. And, if you wanted to hide something in the relationship or don't talk about certain things in the relationship, this might be the moment that things are crackling up to the surface. So, but still, it's for the better, for the involvement of the relationship. And if something needs to be discussed and brought out, now is a good time, because Venus will still be, having that diplomatic sense, want to hear each other out and trying to find the middle ground and trying to find that understanding, trying to harmonize what is perhaps a bit jarring. So it should be an interesting month, to say the least. And then again, when Venus is meeting with Saturn, this is a time for us to think about how has our love matured from the infantile love when we were kids, where we wanted what we wanted when we wanted it, and to a more mature kind of love, and how we have evolved our more, immature tendencies in love, or being maybe possessive or controlling or jealous, or giving punishment if we don't get our way and stuff like that. That's just a good moment to take a good look at ourselves and how we have grown up in terms of our love blueprint. And this is important because coming back to that beginning of a relationship, when you meet somebody and fall head over heels in love, and you only see the good and you just think the other person is perfect, there comes this point where Saturn, or the Saturnic sort of quality, will remind us of, maybe it's something we build up that was not real. And are we ready to take the relationship to the next step, where we can still love the reality of it and love the person for who they are, not the way we wished or dreamt they were or fantasized about them being. Still, there's a lot to be said for a little magic in our lives, but it's not always. With Neptune, we are reminded that sometimes that is an illusion, that we get all that in one other person. Because we are also reminded love starts within ourselves as self-love. It sounds a little boring compared to romantic and passionate love with a partner, but nevertheless, it starts at home. And so it is important to see what's going on in your Taurus area, where is Venus in your chart, how are you relating to self-love, how have you incorporated self-love. And even if love has been harsh in your life at certain times, especially if you have any aspects with Venus and Saturn, you might have not felt, that abundance of love that you would hope for. It's still absolutely possible to get that, because we can all mature our Venus, and we can mature it with Saturn, where we are more realistic and we are willing to work for it. And we don't give up at the first discussion or argument or disagreement. But there's a lot to say for Venus as well as inspiration. A lot of artists have strong blueprints from the Neptune and the Venus in their chart, especially the square and the opposition, because there is this tension to create something inside, and it's coming from this love that's almost outer worldly. You know, when you think about dance and music and different form for artistic expression, it is that Neptune, that expression that transcends any feeling, that and can open your heart just from experiencing it. It can give you physical sensation just from experiencing art or music or dance. And it's, in a way, it reminds us of there is this massive love in the world and between us. We can't always feel it because we are judging, or we are hard, or we don't look in the right places, or we shut down, or we are guarding our hearts, whatever it is. But when we come to the end of the month and Venus meets with Neptune, this is a time to just connect with that within yourself. Maybe you have some artistic talents that you're not really using. Maybe you want to think about giving love a chance again, you know, connect with that Venus, Neptune floating away, and just let yourself feel that love within yourself. Think about your own love history, how it has formed in your life. And of course, there's a lot of clues to be seen in your birth chart. This is more a generic interpretation, of course. If you want a personal reading, I am more than happy to look at your chart. You can find me through my website and book a session on dancingastrologer.com. And I do recordings that I send to you afterwards, after our conversation. That way you can look at it later and, you know, several times. And then I offer half an hour, 45 minutes, or 1 hour, because sometimes people just have a quick question, or they have something they want to deep dive in. And we can definitely focus on certain areas, whatever is going on in your life, and also to look ahead what's coming. So thank you very much for watching, and I hope you enjoy the rest of this month. Whatever brings up, think about love, enjoy love, and see you next time.